Alex Pereira claims that Magomed Ankalaev didn't want to fight him and ducked him at UFC 307. The fearsome knockout artist will put his light heavyweight title on the line against Khalil Roundtree Jr. at UFC 307. Pereira's impressive run to 2 world titles has seen him blast through both divisions, having already beaten nearly the entire top 5 at 205. Now, he faces another top striker in Roundtree, while Ankalaev tackles a different challenge in Alexander Rakic at UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi a few weeks later. It seemed as though Magomed Ankalaev was his clear challenger, but in a video on his YouTube page, Pereira claims that his rival did not want the fight. Pereira said, "A lot of people ask me, I always wanted to fight against Ankalaev. I threw that to the organization, left it very clear, but Ankalaev didn't want to fight against me. I don't know the reason. If it was the location, if he just didn't want. He isn't the champion. He can't pick anything. I think it's the opportunity that shows up. He didn't want it. He has his reasoning. I don't know what it is. I came to tell you guys, I'm not scared of anyone. Everyone knows my history and everything I've done and who I went against. Not just in MMA, but kickboxing." Alex admits he was surprised by Khalil Roundtree fight. "I was also a bit surprised when they offered him," Pereira said during the same YouTube video. "I honestly thought it would be Ankalaev. I think the organization sees it as a guy who will give a good fight. They are doing all this for you guys, to please you guys. Ranking doesn't matter. What matters is the work he has been doing. When they did it to me, I wasn't ranked. I was quickly ranked. They're doing the same thing. UFC is thinking about you guys." Ankalaev, on the other hand, vows to knock Alex Pereira out in 2 rounds. Ankalaev wrote on social media, "Alex Pereira is the biggest chicken in the UFC. He calls out middleweight fighters who are 40 pounds lighter than him, but he doesn't even mention my name. I promise I'll handle my business in October and knock you out in under 2 rounds. Who do you think would come out on top between the devastating striker in Poatan and the all-around balanced fighter in Ankalaev? Leave your thoughts below." PFL founder Don Davis has just released a statement saying that they are planning to have Francis Ngannou fight Jon Jones in the PFL. Both Francis and Jones have strong arguments for being considered the undisputed heavyweight champion of MMA. Ngannou never lost his UFC title before leaving the organization in 2022, while Jones is the current champion and is regarded as one of the sport's all-time greats. However, the UFC is known for its policy against co-promoting, and with both fighters scheduled for major bouts in October and November, it seemed unlikely that the fight would occur. However, in an interview with Bloody Elbow, PFL founder Don Davis has sparked hope among fans for a possible super fight. When asked about the idea of working with UFC to make Ngannou versus Jones in future, Davis added, "We want to give the fans what they want, and maybe the fans will get that. Wouldn't that be great?" UFC president Dana White has become more open to working with other promoters. When asked if UFC Saudi Arabia partner Turki Al Sheikh could help facilitate a co-promotion with PFL for Jones versus Ngannou, White didn't outright dismiss the idea. He said, "I actually respect Sheikh Turki. He's a nice guy. We've built a relationship over the past few months. I admire what he's done in boxing and believe he could make big fights happen. His achievements in a short time are impressive, so we're exploring various options with him. I respect and like him, so we'll see what the future brings." Who do you think would come out on top in a showdown between Bones and the Predator? Would the undefeated dominance of Jones prevail, or would Ngannou's explosive power be too much to handle? Leave your comments below. Israel Adesanya's coach says Izzy could come back and have a resurgence after UFC 305. Israel showed that he's quite capable of getting Dricus out of there, Izzy's coach told Submission Radio. But DDP also showed what he showed all along, which is that he's an absolute dog. He's always looking for an opportunity to win. He will never give up. He was hurt on multiple occasions in that fight, and you know, he took that victory. And he's done that again and again and again. We've seen him in other fights where he's been on the back foot, and he's found a way to win, and he's shown that indomitable will to win, so we've got to credit him for that. That said, I feel like it was a fight we probably let slip away a little bit. Just a couple of mistakes, but I think those mistakes come from a little bit of fatigue potentially, and that can be attributable to time out of the game, just making a few readjustments to what we do with our strength and conditioning. Coach wasn't too discouraged from Adesanya's performance. He thinks the last stylebender still has what it takes to compete at the top, despite losing 3 of his past 4 fights. We know that that Dricus has a great back take. He's got a number of submissions. He's very quick to take that back, and that's something you need to be aware of the whole time. And we made that mistake and we paid for it. Look, how does he look like he did against Strickland? Which, to be fair, there's a few issues that led to that. We would have been sitting in a different position, but Israel looks like he has the ability to come back and have a resurgence, if you like, in his career. He showed that he's more than capable of taking out anyone in that division, including Dricus. And, you know, we'll see him back in the gym very shortly, as soon as he's back from Africa and looking to plan our next steps. Shavkat Rakhmonov fiercely rejects the notion of Kamaru Usman getting the next welterweight title shot. Rakhmonov argues that Usman's recent track record, 0-3 in his last 3 fights, shouldn't overshadow Rakhmonov's impressive 18-0 record with 100% finishes. Belal Muhammad himself has suggested that Kamaru Usman or Shavkat Rakhmonov will be next. On the one hand, Usman is a former champion, but has lost 3 in a row. Rakhmonov, on the other hand, is unbeaten, and many consider him to be the true #1 contender. Shavkat said 18-0 with 100% finishes, or 0-3 in the last 3 fights. I think there should be no question who fights next for the title. Shavkat Rakhmonov is undeniably one of the most thrilling prospects in MMA right now. Since entering the division, he's been seen as a future star, but many fighters seem hesitant to face him, given how dominant he's been against anyone who dares to compete with him. While Usman getting another title shot would definitely attract attention to UFC 310, it's becoming increasingly difficult to overlook Rakhmonov's claim to a title shot. Do you think Shavkat Rakhmonov deserves the next title shot? What reasons could be given for Kamaru Usman to be considered first? Share your thoughts in the comments. Mohamed Mokaev is returning to Brave FC after being released from the UFC. Mokaev's return to Brave CF, where he fought in 2021 before joining the UFC, wraps up a brief rough patch in his career. UFC CEO Dana White made it clear last month that he wasn't interested in keeping Mokaev after he fought out his contract at UFC 304. Despite staying undefeated with a win over Manel Cup and being in line for a title shot, White cited backstage issues between UFC matchmakers and Mokaev as the main reason for not wanting him back. After some time to think about the decision, White later reaffirmed his position. Brave CF is welcoming Mokaev back with open arms. Brave FC president said, "There has been an unjust persecution of his character and attempts to use defamation to feed personal vendettas, and is evidently clear that there are no clear reasons as to why the best athlete in the world cannot compete. This is not what the sport is all about, and for Brave CF to have him back is fantastic, and he now can become a voice for all these challenges. Not only that, his return solidifies our ethos to have the best fight, the best irrespective of any other variable. We would like to welcome back Mohamed Mokaev, an undefeated superstar who is an amateur legend with 2 IMMAF world titles, and someone who has proven to be the best flyweight in the world, with no losses to his amateur or professional record. This is a very exciting time for Brave CF. Mokaev went 7-0 in the UFC and is coming off consecutive wins over former title challenger Tim Elliott and contenders Alex Perez and Manel Cup.